Story begins with Do-hyun, who has become the youngest MMA fighter champion. But when he returns home, he finds his mother and sister badly injured, on the verge of death. At that very moment, a group of men attack Do-hyun, intending to kill him. Instead, he fights back ruthlessly and defeats them all. Later, the scene shifts to a classroom where some students are watching the news about Do-hyun's MMA championship. There, we meet Woo-sol, who has recently transferred to this school. At his previous school, he was constantly harassed by Seok-chan, a lethal boxer, which forced him to leave. But even here, Seok-chan doesn't leave him alone. He enrolls in the same school just to keep bullying him. Upon arrival, Seok-chan quickly puts other bullies in their place, showing his dominance over the class. After that, he turns his attention back to tormenting Woo-sol. At one point, when Seok-chan is about to hurt Woo-sol again, a girl tries to stop him. In response, Seok-chan slaps her. Before he can hit her again, Woo-sol grabs his hand and, almost in tears, pleads with him not to do it. This unexpected reaction only enrages Seok-chan even more. He begins to beat Woo-sol mercilessly. In the struggle, Woo-sol, while trying to protect himself, accidentally drives a pen into Seok-chan's eye, leaving him blind on one side. Because of this incident, Woo-sol is sentenced to 3 years in juvenile prison. On the way to prison, the story shifts to Do-hyun. He had killed the intruders who attacked his home, but the court judges his case differently. Since he used his professional fighting skills, the act of self-defense is considered an intentional assault, and he too is sent to prison. Inside the transport van, Woo-sol sits with Do-hyun. At first, Woo-sol feels uneasy around him, but over time he realizes that Do-hyun is not as intimidating as he seems. The two end up in the same cell, which belongs to a group led by an inmate named Sang. Sang, however, is not liked by two notorious bullies in the prison, Lee and Han. These two often prey on weaker inmates, and since Sang tries to stop them, they frame him and have him thrown into solitary confinement. With Sang gone, the group starts to weaken. The next day, an inmate explains the unspoken rules of prison life to Woo-sol. He tells him not to make eye contact with others, to always keep his head down, and to avoid the two bullies at all costs. He further reveals that Do-hyun, the man who arrived with Woo-sol in the van, is in fact a well-known fighter currently serving a prison sentence for murder, and no bully messes up with him. Later, when the prison football team falls short of players, Woo-sol and Min are forced to join. During the match, one of the thugs threatens Woo-sol with dire consequences if he fails to perform properly. Nervous and under pressure, Woo-sol ends up making a mistake, which worsens the situation. The bullies decide to drag him away for a beating. At that moment, memories of his school days come flooding back, times when he lived in constant fear from endless bullying. Just then, Do-hyun appears. His presence alone makes the other inmates settle down, and Woo-sol notices how everyone seems to fear him. Realizing this, Woo-sol quickly runs to Do-hyun for help. Seeing his desperation, Do-hyun begins to feel pity for him and tells the bullies to leave Woo-sol alone. But the bullies misjudge Do-hyun, imagining he is trying to act like Mike Tyson. Their misunderstanding doesn't last long, however, as one of Do-hyun's punches immediately proves his strength. Time passes, and one day Woo-sol is surprised when he is told that someone has come to visit him. Confused, he wonders who it could be, since he has no real friends. To his shock, it is none other than Seok-chan. Seeing him, Woo-sol is filled with terror, a fear so deep that it shows just how much of a scar Seok-chan has left on his heart. Seok-chan tells him that he had to quit boxing because of what Woo-sol did to his eye. He warns Woo-sol that although his time in prison will pass, once he is released, a terrible punishment awaits him. Hearing this, Woo-sol breaks down in front of him, pleading helplessly. Woo-sol realizes that there is no humanity left in Seok-chan. The next day, from the classroom window, he sees Do-hyun exercising. Gathering courage, Woo-sol thanks him for saving him that day. That night, while trying to sleep, Chan's threatening words echo in Woo-sol's mind. The fear pushes him toward a decision to become a fighter. The next morning, he approaches Do-hyun and asks if he can train him. Hyun, however, is skeptical. He questions Woo-sol's intention, wondering if he only wants to learn how to hurt weaker people like the bullies do. He tells him to leave, but Woo-sol admits that all his life he has begged, suffered, and run away from fear, never once fighting for himself. Now, he wants to change. Hearing this, Do-hyun sees not a troublemaker, but a helpless boy who truly wants to stand up for himself. Do-hyun finally agrees, but on one condition. Woo-sol must first prove his determination. He challenges him to a running test. Doohyun says he finishes it in 30 minutes and gives Woo-sol 40 minutes to do the same. Woo-sol accepts, and the two begin to run. During the run, Woo-sol's painful past flashes before him. Moments when Seok-chan used to beat him mercilessly. Times when the fear grew so overwhelming that he would even wet his clothes in class, becoming the subject of everyone's laughter. But instead of breaking him, these memories fuel his resolve to push forward. Exhausted but determined, Woo-sol manages to complete the full run. Impressed, Doohyun realizes how badly this boy needs guidance. He requests the prison officer to transfer Woo-sol into his training program. Since Doohyun is a respected MMA champion, the officer honors his request, and Woo-sol begins training under him. Though weak and inexperienced, Woo-sol starts his journey. During training, Doohyun criticizes him by pointing out that he becomes exhausted after only 20 push-ups and cannot even throw a proper punch. He questions how someone with such a weak body expects to survive. Woo-sol admits that he is tired and asks if he can take a break, saying that he will continue tomorrow. Doohyun tells him that if he wants to rest like that, he should return to his old life of fear, because nothing will ever change that way. Woo-sol insists that he will try, but Doohyun tells him not to simply try, explaining that whatever workout he completes today, he must do even more tomorrow. From that moment, Woo-sol begins intense training. He struggles but works with determination. Over time, his body hardens, his stamina improves, and he gradually grows stronger than before. Meanwhile, outside the prison walls, Seok-chan is seen. He is beating up some of a gangster's men. The gangster notices him and, impressed by his fighting skills, offers him a chance to work for him. Seok-chan responds rudely, but the gangster knocks him down with a single punch. He tells Seok-chan to work under him, promising that this will make his skills even sharper. Seok-chan finally agrees. Later, Min informs Woo-sol that Doohyun will soon be transferred to another prison, though Woo-sol has no idea about this. When Woo-sol asks Doohyun if the news is true, Doohyun confirms it. He tells Woo-sol not to expect him to be around forever to protect him and advises him to focus entirely on his training instead. Around the same time, Min is harassed by Lee's men who pressure him to lure Woo-sol to them so they can beat him up. Min refuses because he believes Woo-sol is a good person. Angered by the refusal, the gang begins to attack him. Then Woo-sol arrives to save Min and tells Lee's men that he is ready to meet Lee. The thug orders Woo-sol to lower his gaze first, but Woo-sol denies. As the thug moves to hit Woo-sol lands a powerful punch that stuns everyone. The thugs have no choice but to leave. Lee tells his men to bring Woo-sol to him at any cost, and warns that if they return empty-handed, he will beat them. Terrified of that threat, the men beg Woo-sol to meet the leader. Woo-sol goes to meet the Lee, who angrily tells him that Woo-sol has badly damaged the face of one of his men with a single punch, and asks whether he thinks he is untouchable. Woo-sol immediately apologizes for hurting the man, and asks them not to take revenge. But Lee attacks him, and a fight breaks out between Lee and Woo-sol, and in the end, Lee knocks the Woo-sol down and leaves him half unconscious. Even then, Woo-sol rises again and prepares to fight. His refusal to give up surprises everyone, and he pushes himself with an unbreakable spirit. He beats the shit out of Lee, and Do-hyun pulls Woo-sol away from the scene, and they leave together. Outside, Chan is growing more dangerous and ruthless. After Do-hyun teaches Woo-sol everything he can, the day arrives when Do-hyun is due to be transferred to another prison. Before leaving, Do-hyun asks Woo-sol whether he knows about sharks. He explains that sharks keep swimming and never stop because if they stop, they will drown. He tells Woo-sol to be like a shark and never stop, then he walks away. Soon after, Sang returns from solitary confinement. Woo-sol is moved back to his former cell, and there Han tells him that he wants to fight him. Han tells Woo-sol that if he loses, he will do whatever Woo-sol demands. Woo-sol replies that if he wins, Han must give up his violent life, stop harassing other inmates, and stop picking fights. Han accepts the conditions, and they agree to settle it 5 days later. When the day arrives, Seok-chan visits Woo-sol and tells him that he has heard he has become a strong fighter. He says he is excited to see how strong Woo-sol will be once he is released, but warns him never to forget his place. Woo-sol then fights Han. Both of them put up a tough battle. Han tires first, his legs swelling and his energy fading. Believing victory is his, he relaxes, but Woo-sol rises again and continues the fight. In the end, Han cannot keep up and gives up the match. The officers arrive, break up the fight, and send them into isolation. A few days later, Sang, Woo-sol, and Han reconcile. Han stops fighting, stops harassing others, and begins living a new life inside prison. They grow closer and start treating each other as friends. Meanwhile, Outside the prison, Do-hyun's story continues. Do-hyun is later seen in adult prison, training someone else. He reminds his student that tiring so quickly shows weakness, and mentions that he once knew a boy who completed the running test on his very first try. A few days later, Woo-sol's sentence comes to an end. As he prepares to leave, he recalls his memories with Do-hyun in the prison gym. Once outside, he unexpectedly encounters Seok-chan. Woo-sol asks him why he hates him so much, saying that he never did anything to deserve such hatred. Seok-chan ignores his words, and a fight breaks out between the two. Seok-chan badly injures Woo-sol during the fight. At that moment, Woo-sol remembers Do-hyun's advice that one should never stop moving forward, because stopping is the same as dying. With this thought, he rises again and resumes the fight. In the middle of the battle, Woo-sol recalls a special punch that Do-hyun had once taught him, a strike meant to finish a fight decisively. Using that move, he lands a blow that severely injures Seok-chan's other eye. In spite of everything, the two keep fighting, but in the end, Chan gives up. With that, Woo-sol overcomes his fear and moves forward in life. Toward the conclusion of the story, Woo-sol goes to meet Do-hyun, who reminds him that he once told him to be like a shark that keeps swimming. Woo-sol explains that when he observed them, he noticed they do not always keep moving. Sometimes even sharks stop. He asks why that happens. Hyunjin replies that perhaps the shark had stopped because it was dying. The story ends with both of them smiling, and the film closes there.